Golf Central on YouTube, brought to you by the Rogue ST Woods and Irons from Callaway.
And hi again, everyone. Jimmy Roberts here, and this is your Golf Central update. The big news of the day coming from the PGA and DP World Tours announcing a strengthening of their alliance, which began in November of 2020. Some of the key points announced today: a new 13-year operational joint venture partnership. PGA Tour increases its stake in European Tour productions from 15 to 40%. DP World Tour guarantees growth in annual prize funds to members for the next 5 years. Sunshine Tour and the PGA Tour of Australasia now enjoy a formal pathway to the DP World Tour. And starting in 2023, the top 10 players at the end of the season, the DP World Tour ranking, in addition to those already exempt, will earn PGA Tour cards. Keith Pelley and Jay Monahan join Matt Adams and Eamon Lynch on Golf Central to discuss.
Jimmy, thank you very much. With the commissioner of the PGA Tour, Jay Monahan, and the chief executive of the DP World Tour, Keith Pelley. Gents, this is a question for both of you, but if I may, let's start first of all with Jay. Was it always a part of the evolutionary plan of your tours that you would see the alignment going this way, or is this in reaction to the flow of current events in the world of golf?
Well, Matt, Eamon, thanks for having both of us today. And to answer your question, I would just go back in time, and for a long period of time, decades, in fact, a moment like this, a historic moment like this, has long been talked about, but hasn't quite happened. And when you think about the process, and I'll just speak to it from our end, you go back to November of 2020. That's when we announced our strategic alliance. As we were making our way back through COVID and learning to live and play through a COVID environment, I had tasked our team, recognizing that we were entering into our new media deals at the beginning of 2022 with you, NBC, Golf Channel, CBS, ESPN, that we should really be thinking about what is the next evolution in our schedule. How do we continue to create a stronger product and schedule for the top players in the world, for all of our members, and for fans and our partners? And it was at that time frame that we actually went to our board with this concept, the concept that I talked about last week of shortening our season in the FedEx Cup from January through August, elevating, we ended up elevating certain events, getting into the fall, transitioning to a small number of international series events, and having players play through the fall for positioning and for eligibility the following year. As you can imagine, as a membership organization, those are complex changes. And as we went through 21 and into 22, had a lot of conversations with our player advisory council. At the same time, we were having an impact on the DP World Tour, not just from a media standpoint and the investment we had made on European Tour productions, but also in the commercial side, and also in identifying co-sanctioning opportunities with the Genesis Scottish Open, the Barracuda, and the Barbasol. Long way of saying, we get to last week in Hartford, we had our policy board meeting. The changes I just referenced were approved, as was this next step, this operational joint venture with Keith and the DP World Tour. So we've been talking about it for a long period of time, debating all the elements of it. And without those changes to our schedule, we wouldn't be in a position to take this step forward. And by that, more specifically, be able to provide those 10 cards and also be able to invest even more in the business in terms of productions, as well as the resources we're going to put behind it. So that's how we got to this point in time. And I couldn't be more excited about being here and all the opportunity it creates for us going forward, for our members, Keith's members, and for the great fans of the PGA Tour.
Keith?
Wow. Well, I can tell you that that was a great summary. But there is no doubt that we've been talking about this for some time. I would say, to answer your question, gents, that it has been escalated during the existential threat, but it was always a plan from some time ago. Jay and I have been talking about working closer together and vertically taking our silos and horizontally integrating them together for a number of years since he took over as commissioner. Then we had the opportunity to do it in 2020. And I can tell you the strategic alliance in 2020 has far exceeded our expectations. And the PGA Tour have acted far greater than somebody who owns a percentage of your production company. When you look at, I'm here at the Horizon Irish Open, and they were instrumental in bringing Horizon as the title partner to the Irish Open and now doubled the prize purse. The Genesis Scottish Open will be the biggest tournament on our tour in its history, with 14 of the top 15 players, a strength of field of some 670, with 70 world ranking points to the winner. Partners like Velocity Global, partners like Fortinet, that this alliance has allowed us to work closer together. We're sharing ideas on gaming, on esports, on digital content. So it was the natural evolution that I believe was escalated by the existential threat.
Jay, you hinted earlier about golf's history of having a somewhat protectionist outlook in terms of how it does business. And in this agreement, there are very clearly a lot of great benefits for the DP World Tour, but presumably your members are going to ask you what's in it for them. What will your answer be to them when that question comes?
Listen, I think a stronger global golf ecosystem is better for and best for, every member of the PGA Tour. Certainly, that would be the same for every member of the DP World Tour. And when I look at our opportunities ahead of us, my whole focus, and the thing that you have heard me consistently say, is we need to focus on creating the best, most efficient, most competitive platform in the form of our schedule that creates the moments in our sport that the players aspire to live up to, that they grew up thinking about, and now that they're out here, they're going to continue to pursue. And the changes that we made last week certainly add to that. And the addition of a stronger relationship in the form of an operational joint venture with the DP World Tour, I think ultimately for the impact we're going to have on the DP World Tour, the access those players are going to have on the PGA Tour, we're strengthening the system. This is pro-competitive. And ultimately, the more pro-competitive we are, the greater resources we can generate for our respective memberships. And if we didn't do this, I would tell you that we would have missed an enormous opportunity to do that. And that's what we're going to prove as we go forward here in the coming months and years, Eamon.
Keith Pelley, the chief executive of the DP World Tour. In the announcement that you put out today, the joint announcement was the following, I'm quoting, "With today's announcement, DP World Tour members will now have direct, informal access to the very pinnacle of the men's professional game on the PGA Tour," close quote. I know that you had an opportunity to meet with your members at the Irish Open today. Was there any reaction from members in terms of where the DP World Tour is positioned now as a global tour?
To be honest, the early feedback, and it was only an hour ago, and I've gone on to media calls and media interviews, so I haven't had a chance to talk to players directly, but only between interviews, has been incredibly positive, and the feeling in the room was very energized as people understood the possibility that could happen with the DP World Tour. And it's not just the clear pathway to the PGA Tour. That is one component of it, a very big component, but one component of it. We have guaranteed prize funds that we are going to be able to use with the additional investment that we'll be able to, the DP World will be able to commit to our players for the next 5 years. And we're going to spend a significant amount of time with our tournament committee and with the members of the PGA Tour and the PGA Tour executive in shaping what our 2024 schedule will look like. We'll refine it and improve it. But I can tell you emphatically that this is one component of our tour. We're not a feeder tour into the PGA Tour. We're a vibrant, independent, strong tour with incredible tournaments. And you're seeing one this week with the Horizon Irish Open. You'll see the Genesis Scottish Open next week, which will be spectacular. Our national opens, like the Open of France, the Italian, the BMW PGA Tour at BMW PGA Championship at Wentworth, in Abu Dhabi and Dubai at the beginning of the year, the DP World Tour Championship. So there is one component which is of our new deal, which is a massive component for our players to be able to get access to the PGA Tour, the world's greatest and largest tour. But it's one component of it. And I think I just want to be careful with people calling us a feeder tour. We do have a feeder tour, and that is something that is just aspirational to get to the next level, and that is our challenge tour. But for this is a momentous day. It's pretty exciting for us. Jay and his team have been spectacular, and for us to align and get to the next level with the PGA Tour is something that we're excited about, and I think the members will be incredibly delighted as they start to digest what has happened over the last couple of hours.
A question for both of you. Sorry, go ahead, Jay.
Eamon, if I could, I want to go back to your question and just make a couple other points. Number one, when you think about the changes that that we announced last week and the extension, natural extension of our partnership with DP World Tour here today, every single player has an opportunity to be the best player in the world. And they're going to have access and opportunities that are greater when you look at the whole calendar year at the same or greater than they've been in the past. And the consequence of what we're playing for is growing. And I think that's an important point. The other thing I'll say is that when you take a broader look at this and you think about the Korn Ferry Tour now is going to move to a January through October schedule, allows us to take advantage of better agronomic conditions, create strategic breaks in the course of the Korn Ferry Tour season, have one card, and have so much at stake. We obviously have the 10 cards from the DP World Tour, and then we'll be reinstituting qualifying schools, something that we haven't done since 2013. So making a number of changes here that are going to allow the best players in the world to continue to emerge. And, our work's not done. We're going to continue to push and think along those lines.
On that subject of pathways, Jay, Keith just spoke about the importance for DP World Tour members of making their way to the PGA Tour through the point standings at the end of the year. As of right now, 2 of the top 10 in that point standings, Pablo Larrazabal and Richard Bland, are allied with the Live Golf Series. What parameters will both of you put in place to ensure that you don't face a situation where players who are allied with the Live Tour actually are eligible for those cards?
Well, Eamon, I think time to...
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Jay. You go.
No, you go right ahead.
Okay. Eamon, I think time takes care of a lot of things. This won't come in place till next year, and I honestly don't think we'll have that problem by then.
Okay.
Keith, I wonder if I could ask you this question, too. I'm aware of the fact that you are at the Horizon Irish Open, and we're hearing great reports for the depth of field at the Genesis Scottish Open coming up. Given all of these developments, is there any possibility in the horizon of the Irish Open also becoming an event that can be played both on the PGA Tour and the DP World Tour at the same time?
Well, I think anything is possible, but at this particular time, we're looking forward to next week, and we're not getting too far ahead of ourselves of what exactly this alliance could mean down the road. I can tell you that we made and took the decision to stay with a proven partner today that is creative and innovative and want to work as closely as possible with us on all kinds of different concepts. So I think I would say, similar to what Jay has said, that the aspirational goal is for the best players in the world to play on the most competitive platform. And if that means that Jay and his team feel down the road at some particular time that could mean an event in Ireland, then that is something that we would explore. But at this particular time, that hasn't been discussed in great depth.
Jay, what is the end game of this alliance? Is it a global tour operating under one umbrella? And if that is the goal, what's the next stage to getting there? Where do you see this in 5-10 years?
Yeah, Eamon, I think that again, this was the right step in our alliance, and this is a big step. And there has been this discussion about consolidation, merging, becoming one entity. To us, we've been focused on what can we do to, again, make the changes to our schedule, to do it in concert with the DP World Tour, and for us to continue to prove to the membership of the DP World Tour and to the membership of the PGA Tour that we can add value that has benefit to both memberships, and we can continue to prove that ultimately something like that, which is a possibility, might one day become a reality. But that's a day that's off into the future. Right now, we've got to focus on the task at hand, and we've made a lot of commitments to Keith and his team, and vice versa. And we need to get to the work at hand, which we're going to do straight away.
Jay Monahan.
Listen, this is a global game. We have a global membership, the best players in the world. We're continuing to make really positive adjustments and enhancements to our overall season and its flow, and we're going to continue to look at everything. That's the nature of who we are, and we're going to do it with and through the eyes of the best players in the world, working very closely with them.
Jay Monahan, the commissioner of the PGA Tour, and Keith Pelley, the chief executive of the DP World Tour. Gents, congratulations. Thank you very much for spending some time with us tonight.
Thanks,
gentlemen.
Also beginning next year, an unprecedented 30 PGA Tour cards will be awarded to the top players on the Korn Ferry Tour points list at season's end, reaffirming the quality of the competition on the circuit and the importance of rewarding season-long performance, giving players an additional 5 PGA Tour cards for next year. This has been the Golf Central Update.